The very ground beneath our feet, the air in our lungs, the oceans clinging to their basins, all are held fast by an invisible, relentless force: gravity. We rarely think about it, yet it shapes every moment of our existence, from the simplest step to the most ambitious rocket launch. But what if, for just 5 fleeting seconds, that fundamental connection to the Earth vanished entirely? What would those 5 seconds truly unleash? And what would be left when the world abruptly remembered how to hold us down again? The answer is a terrifying, unimaginable cataclysm that would fundamentally reshape our planet and, indeed, extinguish most life on it. Let's begin with the immediate, chilling sensation. If gravity suddenly ceased, you wouldn't feel yourself gently floating upwards. Instead, the ground would instantly vanish from beneath your feet. Not because you're moving, but because the very concept of down would cease to exist. The feeling would be one of profound, instantaneous disorientation, a sudden absence of the most fundamental force you've ever known. Panic would set in as every muscle in your body, accustomed to fighting gravity, would suddenly find itself uselessly tensing against nothing. But the effect isn't just a simple float. Remember, the Earth is spinning. At the equator, we're hurtling through space at over 1,000 miles per hour. Even at higher latitudes, the rotational speed is significant. When gravity disappears, the tangential velocity you possess from Earth's rotation becomes the dominant force. You wouldn't just ascend, you would be launched away from the Earth's surface, describing an arc outwards, propelled by that enormous horizontal momentum. Anything not physically bolted down would follow suit. Cars, loose furniture, everyday objects, all would become high-speed projectiles, their trajectories dictated by their last moments of gravitational influence and the sheer rotational energy of the planet. Now, consider the atmosphere. It isn't a solid structure, it's a vast ocean of gas held to Earth by gravity. The moment gravity disappears, the air, particularly the upper layers, would instantaneously begin to expand and escape into the vacuum of space. This wouldn't be a gentle sigh. It would be an explosive decompression. The lower, denser layers, still possessing their rotational inertia, would try to maintain some form. But the sudden absence of downward pressure from above would cause them to expand rapidly and explosively. Within seconds, the air pressure at the surface would plummet to near-vacuum conditions. Breathing would become impossible, not just because the air is rapidly thinning, but because the internal pressure of your lungs would effectively explode outwards into the near vacuum, causing catastrophic damage. The very air that sustains us would become a deadly expanding gas cloud, boiling off into the cosmos. The oceans, lakes, and rivers would face an even more dramatic fate. No longer bound by Earth's pull, these colossal bodies of water would immediately begin to lift. But again, it's not a gentle rise. Retaining their tremendous tangential velocity from Earth's rotation, the water would begin to expand outwards, forming immense, chaotic spheres and sheets of liquid. Coupled with the instantaneous drop in atmospheric pressure, the surface water would instantly begin to boil, even at ambient temperatures. Imagine billions of tons of water boiling and atomizing into mist and steam, propelled upwards and outwards by their own internal pressure and the Earth's violent rotation. This wouldn't be a calm visual. It would be an incredible, terrifying spectacle of liquid chaos, a tempest of water turning into gas in a truly alien landscape. Buildings and infrastructure, though designed to withstand various forces, rely heavily on the constant downward pull of gravity. Tall structures like skyscrapers and bridges are engineered to manage massive compressive loads. The sudden absence of this primary load would place immense and unexpected stresses on their foundations and structural components. While they might not all immediately disintegrate, the sudden release of compressive forces, especially on flexible structures, could cause rapid and potentially catastrophic shifts, twisting and groaning under the internal stresses they were never designed to manage in a zero-G environment. Imagine the sheer forces on suspension cables suddenly going slack, then snapping taut as a building begins to deform. What about things already in motion? An airplane mid-flight would experience a truly terrifying event. Passengers and any unsecured items inside would be instantly slammed upwards to the cabin ceiling, experiencing violent, sudden weightlessness, potentially causing serious injury. The aircraft itself, though still moving forward at hundreds of miles per hour, would begin to drift upwards. Its aerodynamic lift, which depends on air density and the interaction of wings with that air under gravity, would effectively cease. More critically, the sudden loss of external air pressure would create an enormous differential between the pressurized cabin and the rapidly vanishing external atmosphere, almost certainly leading to explosive decompression and structural failure of the fuselage. The plane would become a rapidly disintegrating projectile, shedding parts as it hurtles skyward. Even the Earth itself, for those 5 seconds, would become a peculiar entity. While its immense mass would still be present, and it would continue its orbital momentum around the Sun and its own rotation, it would cease to exert its gravitational pull. Essentially, it would become a colossal, free-floating ball of matter, still moving through space, but internally, everything that had been held together by gravity would be attempting to tear itself apart at the seams. Satellites, no longer held in orbit by Earth's gravity, would continue along their instantaneous tangential paths, effectively beginning to escape Earth's influence, albeit for a very brief period. Then, after those agonizing, chaotic 5 seconds, gravity would instantly reappear. This is where the true, unimaginable disaster would unfold. The return of gravity would not be a gentle re-anchoring. It would be an apocalyptic shockwave, a violent correction that would tear the world apart. Everything that had been propelled upwards, every person, every car, every piece of debris, all the oceans, and the entire atmosphere would be violently yanked back down. Objects would accelerate towards the Earth at 9.8 meters per second squared. Since they would have been drifting and expanding for 5 seconds, many items would have gained significant altitude and outward velocity. The impact velocity would be devastating. People would hit the ground, or what remained of it, with the force of high-speed collisions, far exceeding anything the human body could endure. Buildings would collapse, pulverized by the relentless rain of returning debris and the sudden reimposition of immense forces. The atmospheric collapse would be the most catastrophic event. The rapidly expanding atmosphere, which had been boiling off into space, would be violently pulled back down onto the planet. This would not be a gentle return. It would be a catastrophic implosion, an inward-rushing shockwave of unimaginable power. Extreme winds, potentially hundreds or even thousands of miles per hour, would scour the Earth's surface, ripping apart anything that might have survived the initial ascent and subsequent fall. Sonic booms of unprecedented intensity would rip through the air as vast masses of air collided and compressed. The compression of the air would generate immense heat, turning large swaths of the lower atmosphere into a searing inferno, effectively flash-frying anything caught within. Breathing would be impossible, not just due to pressure, but due to the sheer force and incandescent heat. The returning oceans would unleash mega-tsunamis unlike anything ever witnessed. The colossal spheres and sheets of water, steam, and mist that had formed in the upper atmosphere would crash back onto the surface with inconceivable force. These wouldn't be mere tsunamis measured in feet. They would be hundreds or thousands of feet high, traveling at incredible speeds, scouring coastlines clean, penetrating far inland, and reshaping continents. Entire landmasses would be submerged or reshaped by the sheer volume and kinetic energy of water returning with such violence. The impact of these oceanic masses would be so immense that it could easily trigger widespread earthquakes and volcanic eruptions on a global scale. The planet itself would groan and shudder under the strain of such a colossal, instantaneous redistribution of mass and energy. The immediate aftermath would be a world utterly unrecognizable and hostile to life. Most, if not all, human structures would be obliterated, either by the initial ascent, the atmospheric chaos, or the pulverizing impact of returning debris and water. The Earth's surface would be scorched, scoured, and reshaped. Vast stretches of land would be permanently submerged or created anew. The atmosphere would be choked with dust, steam, and toxic gases from the compression heating, impacts, and potential volcanic activity. Breathing, even for those few who might somehow have found shelter, would be impossible. Survival would be an extreme long shot, even for those in the deepest, most reinforced bunkers. Emerging into a world of ash, boiling water, searing winds, and a poisonous atmosphere would be to step into a landscape of utter desolation. Clean water would be non-existent, food supplies ruined, and any form of organized society would have ceased to exist. Communication, power grids, transportation, all gone. On a global scale, the environmental consequences would be catastrophic and long-lasting. The sheer amount of dust, steam, and particulate matter injected into the upper atmosphere would block out the sun for months, if not years, plunging the Earth into a prolonged global winter, mirroring the effects of a massive asteroid impact or supervolcanic eruption. This impact winter would further devastate any remaining plant life and extinguish any lingering hope for the survival of complex ecosystems. Most life forms, from microscopic organisms to large animals, would perish, leading to a mass extinction event of unprecedented scale. In the long term, the Earth itself would bear permanent scars. Its rotational axis might be subtly altered, its atmosphere permanently changed in composition and density. The oceans would be drastically redistributed, creating new coastlines and eliminating old ones. The very geology of the planet would be reset in many areas, with new fault lines, mountain ranges, and volcanic fields potentially emerging from the immense stresses. For humanity, if any scattered pockets of survivors remained, the task of rebuilding civilization in such a profoundly altered and hostile environment would be monumental, perhaps insurmountable. The collective trauma of such an event would redefine what it means to be human. It would be a world reborn from cataclysm, profoundly different from the one that existed before those 5 seconds. Ultimately, the hypothetical disappearance of gravity for just 5 seconds isn't a mere inconvenience. It's a profound thought experiment that unveils the delicate, constant ballet of forces that makes our planet habitable, and how quickly that ballet can devolve into utter chaos. It's a stark reminder of how utterly dependent we are on the unseen, foundational laws of the universe.